Welcome to Great Talk and Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the YouTube channel where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Welcome back, everyone, to the YouTube channel. My name is KJ. And today's spoiler review for the new Hulu series called The Twisted Tales of Amanda Knox, Episode 2 Spoiler Review. So if you have not seen this episode, please pause this. But before you go, could you hit that thumbs up button? That would truly help my YouTube channel grow. Come back and let me know in the comments below what you think about Episode 2 of The Twisted Tales of Amanda Knox. So again, this is a spoiler review. Y'all been warned. Now, let's get into it. This episode starts off with breaking news as it's dated November 6, 2007, 5 days since Meredith's murder. The news reported that Amanda is confessing to the true crime. And this is where Amanda is narrating, saying she doesn't know how she got into this situation. As I see a crowd of some people just staring at the TV, and it's very weird. But this is kind of like, did they or did they not? But it's just jumping back and forth. But it seems like she has done it, but it also seems like she's probably didn't do it. Depending where this situations go. So we see this crow land in someone's yard with a date saying November 2nd. 2007, 12 hours since Meredith's murder, a cell phone is ringing, and the caller ID is Amanda. This is a phone that first two officers found evidence as we see the male detective getting the call about this, and he seems to be a person who becomes very obsessed with this case. And he may get himself in some trouble with his job, with the, maybe going too far, crossing that line. The male and female detectives look around the house, and the feeling is that this might be staged, but they also believe they have a second crime that has happened as well. We are seeing the reality of this crime, and we see what Amanda Knox is narrating as the November 3rd, 2007 at 10:57 a.m., 2 days since Meredith's death. We watch that she is very calm and not showing any sadness. And the police ask Amanda and the guys who were friends with Meredith and Amanda, they found the green stuff, and the guy, because the green stuff is not allowed in Italy. The guy admitted that they would smoke some of it and gave Meredith and Amanda some to, and they would help because they would help feed the cat, and they had a key to their place because they were house sitting their cats, like I said. And so there's a lot going on, but what was interesting, this is like where Amanda lied about the pot, only because her roommate asked her to. And again, it's the law in Italy, but this kind of has nothing to do with the crime. And so, realistically, yeah, they could pin it on them, but the crime for that and this crime would be totally different. And I think the police, of this, wants Amanda to face charges with the crime of the murder of Meredith. So that's what I'm getting the thing is. And I think they understand that too. And so the detectives is either believe Amanda did it or she's covering up. And so they, they tell about scenarios. What if this? What if it's that? Like, who could have been the guy? Because they mention a guy in their evidence. As they found out, it goes by the name of Barron. And they've been bringing Amanda back to, right? So his name is Barron. But the police brought Amanda back to the crime. And this is where it gets very interesting. Amanda freaks out. But then, before that, she acts silly and goofy when putting on like latex gloves and the stuff that you put over your shoes so you don't, mess up the crime scene and whatever. And this is how I would look at it. I think, again, some people grieve and deal with things differently. Because this is a big thing, it's not common. Like, imagine if somebody passed away and you go to a funeral, to their funeral, whether you know them very close or not. Sometimes dealing with a funeral, dealing with a lost one, you kind of laugh at it because that's your way of coping with it. And that's the kind of way Amanda is being portrayed in this as well. And so I can't say from this particular scene that Amanda was putting on a show. I think this did freak her out because throughout this episode, they really do put pressure on Amanda. And I know they're trying to do their job. They're trying to understand who did this, who committed this crime, and that's the important thing that for them. But she seems very sad about it at this point after, because she starts freaking out with the knife drawer, and she just freaks out and she's in tears, like I said. So there's just, like I said, there's two ways you can look at it. Either she's putting on a show, or again, some people grief and deal with something like this scenario very differently emotionally, whether you did the crime or not. I don't know if I would say she did this, not based off of this, because I think she just deals with it differently, because the way she's explaining about her story is she just always seemed kind of odd, seemed kind of different, which is okay to be different. But as far as a murderous crime, it's a little fishy. But as of now, I can't really say she did the crime or not based off of this one scene either. So that's where I get at. But it just seems very confusing, and you don't know which way this is gonna go. So ever a very intense interrogating, because it was really interesting. She was, one of the detectives tricked her as being a regular guy, and they were doing yoga poses, and that's how she got back into the at the police station, because she was waiting for her boyfriend in this year in that current time. And so it was kind of like weird. So they tricked her, and they just this really mean interrogation, right? And after all this stuff, now she admitted that Patrick, her boss from her job, said he did it. But here's the problem. They didn't, most times, whether you did the crime or not, and maybe it doesn't work like this in Italy, but she did say in the episode she needed a lawyer. They should have told her that she should get a lawyer and stuff, but they never told her that. And they needed to make sure the interpreter was being mutual, but it seemed like she wasn't as well. But they were all harassing, and they just kind of added words to her and pushed her to admit that she did it. So it's a little fishy, but that's what I think even the police officers here in America would do something like that too. But I think the one thing I noticed is they never told her that she needed to get a lawyer, right? because she wants to backtrack what she says, but it's too late, and they put it out there already. And then at the end of this episode, as soon as her mom lands, she sees that. That's why she hasn't answered her mother's phone calls, because they took it as evidence. So what's interesting is Amanda is getting caught in lies, but this is, according to Amanda, this ain't her story. This is what she wouldn't say, and they forced her to say that, or tricked her, whatever it was. So, and this happened at November 6, 2007 at 10 a.m., and she wanted to change that statement. So, what I think is, to me, based on this, is this is, you can look at it as the cops did her dirty, or you can look at it like they know she did it, and they caught her in so many lies that they would take her to that level. Because we see her in handcuffs, and we see her boyfriend in handcuffs, and I believe they arrested Patrick as well, her former boss. And so, I think she messed up, but it seems like she was covering up for somebody. But you know what was interesting to me that would make me, I would think, one moment in the scene during her, when they're interrogating her, was she said something along the lines, and I can't remember the actual dialogue, but they asked about an African or a black male, and Amanda says something along the lines where she's like, yeah, of course, she's so pretty, and it seemed like something jealousy, or maybe she might have fallen in love with Meredith and stuff, and maybe it caused her to, murder Meredith. It could be one of those. So that had me, at that moment, I thought, okay, she might have done the crime. She might have done this crime. And so that's one thing I noticed out of that, was there, you're seeing a little bit more of like how the bond between the two. And sometimes, in some cases, it can lead to something like that. But the fact that the detectives and other police officers did that really intense questioning, and in ways they were putting words in her mouth, and they tricked her to sign that statement. So I believe the cops are in the wrong in this situation. So I believe in the episode 3, I believe that Amanda's mom is probably going to get a lawyer and lawyer up real quick, because she's gonna get her daughter out of jail or prison, whatever. But that's what I think is going to happen. But I did like this episode because you really can't trust what's going on, and I just like how you can look at it in the 3 ways you can look at this. 1, she's innocent. 2, she's not. Or 3, she's covering up a story for somebody else who may have done it, which that makes her not innocent at all. But I really like that scenario, and I don't think it's Patrick. I don't think it's that Patrick. But I think so far, I think she's gonna get out of this at some point. I think her mom, like I said, will get a lawyer. And I do find this very challenging to, as an audience who's watching this show, to really figure out Amanda right now based off of 2 episodes. I think it's still a little confusing. Now, the thing I didn't like about this episode, I felt like some of the dialogue was too dry. And I wish they would focus more on what potentially could have been. Like, maybe show a scene of Meredith before her death. Like, where was she at? Like, they know where she was at, what she was doing, but we never seen like a scene where she's hanging out with somebody or having an argument with Amanda. Like, I wish they'd show a little bit more of something like that, but they really just focus more on these dialogues with the police detective, which is fine, it makes sense, but I really wish they showed more scenes of what Meredith was doing before that. And maybe they will, who knows, but that's the one thing I feel like episode 2 really needed to really set the tone of like how you should look at this, who should you root for, who would you think is innocent, I kind of give you an idea of like what's to come. But this one, sometimes I just felt like the dialogue was just a little bit dry, but not a bad episode at all, really. I love the intensity. I do enjoy the fact, like, we get like the American actors and actresses to do their scenes, but I also love the ones who do it all in Italian, and I love reading the subtitles to it, and I love like that's their advantage to speak around Amanda and she's not understanding it, which it seems kind of odd. She seems really good at speaking it, but I guess she's not good at understanding it completely, and so they really use that against her a lot. But I really like the dynamic of that, so I thought that was pretty cool as well. So if I had to give this 1 out of 10, I'm gonna give it a 7. Really good episode. Like I said, a little bit of dry at times. I wish they had just have some scenes where you may had a flashback of like Meredith before her death. Maybe see some conversations between her and Amanda. Just something. That's what's my only nitpick about this particular episode, because again, I feel like it needed that at times. But other than that, I love the clues, the foreshadowing, things that may or may not happen. And I like to see how you can't really trust Amanda at these moments too. So, because you feel bad for her and sometimes you don't feel bad for her. So I really like that switch up a lot throughout this episode. So that's my spoiler review, y'all. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment Official Channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace out.